Hi there and welcome to our financial terminology series where today we're going to discuss accounting. What is accounting? Why is it important? Who uses accounting? So this is really meant to give you an introduction to the concept of accounting. So what is accounting? Accounting essentially is the language of business where different users or participants concern themselves with the reported information in the form of financial statements. Who are the users or the participants that are concerning themselves with the information? Well, you have the business operators, the owners, financial analysts, lenders, and also accountants that are recording the journal entry in the form of bookkeeping to provide and release information to those users. Now, what's important to understand in accounting is that it reports the information in financial statements. These statements gives us important, valuable data about the business. These three statements include number one, income statement, number two, balance sheet, and number three, cash flow statement. Let's examine a little bit more closely what each and every one of these statements represent and the intended purpose is. The first one, the income statement, is just a representation of the company's profit and loss. You start with sales, you subtract your cost of goods sold, you arrive to gross profit, then you subtract your operating expenses like selling, general, and administrative expenses, which concerns themselves with your employee salaries, your advertising and marketing expense, your utility and rent expense, and other similar expenses like those. Then you arrive to your operating income. Then you subtract your interest expense or your interest income, and then you subtract your taxes, and that gives you your net income, the profitability, the bottom line represented from the income statement. The second statement is your balance sheet. Your balance sheet reports a company's assets and liabilities. On the asset side, you have cash, receivables, prepaid assets, and other current assets, and also includes your property, plant, and equipment, intangibles, goodwill, and anything else that might classify of assets longer than 1 year. All of that collectively is your total assets. Then on the liability side, you have your accounts payables, accrued liabilities, other current liabilities, and of course, anything related to interest-bearing debt, like your current portion of debt payment or your long-term debt. And in addition to that, you have your stockholders' equity, which reflects your company's common stock, invested capital, and your retained earnings, giving you your liabilities and stockholders' equity. That is the balance sheet. It is a representation of your company assets, liabilities, their creditors, and also the investors in the cumulative net income, their profit reflected under the stockholders' equity section. And the last financial statement that we'll discuss is the third one, your cash flow statement. Your cash flow statement represents the business cash inflows and outflows and is broken down in three parts. Number one, cash flow from operating activities. Number two, your cash flow from investing activities. And number three, your cash flow from financing activities section. The first part, cash flow from operating activities, account for the cash that the business generates from their core operations. The second one, cash flow from investing activities, account for the capital investment that the company makes into their infrastructure, whether it is buying equipment, machinery, a new truck, anything related to the infrastructure of the business will fall under capital investment. And last but not least, the financing activity section involves with the company's financing. How are you financing your business? Is it through equity or is it through debt? So folks, these are the three financial statements that we concern ourselves with as users. And again, accounting is the language of business that reports these financial statements so that we can make decisions and also help us understand the health and the overall financial profile of the business. I hope you find this valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.